Hello, everybody. This is the last session we're going to be having with Jan, and actually, it's not even going to be a session. We're just going to have a little bit of a summation where Jan will clue us in on the changes that she's found, seen, felt in the past few weeks since we've been working with her. So I'll put the floor over to you.
Well, it's been quite a journey, to say the least. And first of all, I want to thank you. This has been, your patience and your knowledge and understanding and everything. I'm glad I did it.
Good.
Glad I did. A lot of subtle changes, but also a lot of powerful changes, and a lot of things connected.
Mm-hmm.
We worked on my mother quite a bit. We worked on my daughter quite a bit. And I can see the differences. I went through all the videos over the weekend, and I watched the first 10 to 15 minutes and then the last 10 to 15 minutes. And it was interesting to see the changes. I actually saved them, and I thought, I really should watch these again because it's kind of the before and after thing, which was really good. I think what I wrote down, I actually typed up some notes. I think one of the big things, the things that kind of stood out, the first one was that I was always very self-conscious about the way I looked. I was raised that your outer appearance was, your first impression, and you judge people by that, So I was always conscious of, every hair was out of place, and how big my stomach was or whatever. And we worked on that, and we worked on that with my mom, and allowing my brother to tell me I was ugly and tell me how terrible I looked all the time, to hugging me, laughing, and telling me I was beautiful. And I was I guess judgmental enough of myself that I couldn't even look in a mirror. I would just, I have a mirror in the hall, I just run past it, or just say, good enough. It's, that'll work, whatever. And after a couple of sessions, I found myself, I went out and, bought a fancy lighted makeup mirror, and I put makeup on 3 or 4 days a week instead of 3 or 4 days a month. But the big thing was that I was very hesitant about watching any of the videos, and you said, "Oh, well, just don't watch them," And I skimmed, I fast forward through the first one, and I saw myself smiling or laughing, and I wanted to know what I was doing, and so I watched a little bit here and a little bit there, and then I finally went to the beginning of the first one, started watching it, and all of a sudden, I just out loud I said, it's me. And that was it. And it was like, from that point on, I look in the mirror, if I have on, I don't see the whole, instead of seeing all the little bits and pieces that might be flawed, or whatever. And, there's been a couple of times I put on a crazy shirt, big earrings or something, and I'll just stop and look in the mirror, and I'll go, cute. And then I turn around and leave, and I'm like, wow. I guess that was subtle, but it wasn't, So, yes. Okay. And one of the other things that I did, I was scheduled for a mammogram a few months ago, and I got ready, and I put makeup on, and I put eyeshadow on, and I drove there. And when I got there, before I went inside, I took a selfie, and I went, whoa, this is just crazy. I'm going in for a mammogram. This is not fun, which it was amazing. And then when I went back, I had to have a biopsy. And when I went back, I was in they had me ready to go in, to the radiologist to do the biopsy. And there was a delay, and I was sitting in this little room by myself waiting. And I started getting upset. I started getting a headache and sick to my stomach. And for some reason, I just got up and went and sat in, and there's 3 chairs in the room, sat in another chair. And then I went and sat in another chair, and it was this really odd looking chair. And I'm looking around and why does it have us, why does it have this and this? And the nurse came in and she said, and I looked at her and said, no, I'm pretending like I'm bored so I won't be afraid. And then I realized that I did a trance breaker and that my headache was much better and my stomachache was gone. And it was like, wow, I just automatically did that because my brain said do that. So that was pretty cool. I had noticed that my, I guess the realization that my relationship with my brothers has been one based on grief. That connection has been, the bond has been the grief of my mother dying when we were younger and not joy. I'm actually having lunch with 2 of my brothers on the 3rd, and I called them up and returned their phone calls, and I was just bubbly and happy. I have no nervous. I used to be real nervous, being around my family, around my brothers, and I'm just like, it's actually the anniversary, 42nd anniversary of my mother's death, the day we're going to lunch. And I was just like, wow, my mom would have liked that,
Right.
So that was kind of cool. Mother's Day came up, and normally I just, I'll just sit at home and cry all day. And I think I told you this, I planned to go to the cemetery. I was going to do a picnic lunch, and it rained. But I took flowers, big orange flowers that my mom would have liked, and I printed out some elephant jokes. And I sat in, first I went to the grave, and I was standing there just chatting with her. I'm going, this is really strange. Normally I would say, hi, Mom, I miss you. I'd start crying, and I'd leave. And I stood there, and I was chatting with her, and then I thought, there's a thunderstorm. I probably shouldn't stand here. The lightning. So I went back to the car, and I ate lunch, and I watched an episode of the Red Green Show on my cell phone, and I read my mother elephant jokes. and I got through, and I looked down, and it had been an hour, and I went, wow, that was different. That was really different. So, I did that, and then one of my big, one of the things that happened, I think right after that, I have 2 brothers that were put up for adoption at birth, the oldest and the youngest. And the youngest has a couple daughters, and my youngest brother that I grew up with has 2 daughters that are on Facebook, and I was able to connect them. Yes, I actually, one of my brothers had posted a photo of my 4 brothers when the youngest one came to Kansas City for the very first time. We met him for the first time, and it was at my brother's house with my sister-in-law, and I wasn't invited because my sister-in-law didn't want me there. And so that has been very, very painful for me. And so he posted on Facebook, and I was angry, and I was crying, and I was ranting and raving, sending new emails. And I'll post it on Facebook. And so you Photoshop me in, and the fit wasn't what you had envisioned that it would be, but because I was bigger and I was more current, my picture was 2 years old, that one was 10 years old. It just even made it funnier. And for some reason, it just healed something inside of me, and I was able to went through Facebook and introduced these 4 nieces to each other, and they have connected. My daughter's not on Facebook, so you can't do that. But it was just cool, and so one of them will ask questions. She didn't know that there were any relatives on my mom's side alive. She didn't
Right.
know she didn't know that her grandfather had a sister, because my brothers never talked about it. She said, wow, I didn't know, grandpa didn't have that grandpa had a sister.
Right.
And, they've been out of the loop, I guess. And my brother doesn't talk about it. So anyway, one of my worst memories, I think, in my life was watching my father beat my brother up when he told me he was 15, because he looked like one of my mom's brothers who was Jewish. My mom was Jewish. And I mean, at level 2, we went into a session and I brought that up and they said, on a scale of 1 to 10, where is it? And I said, it's 1,000. So we worked on that. And instead of my brother putting his hand up to block my father and my father hitting him, my father went over and put, my brother played baseball. And so he put a Kansas City A's, who was the team at the time when we were growing up, put a baseball cap on him, put his arm around him, and he was proud of him. And that was huge, absolutely huge, because I've, been feeling my brother's pain all these years. I've not been able to work on my younger brother. That has been much too painful. And it's one of those things that'll come up and I just kind of push it back down under the surface. I guess when it's time, it's time, So we've worked over and over again on issues with my daughter, and the anger and resentment I felt towards her. I bought her a house a couple of years ago, and she's, told me off a few times, telling me what a terrible mother that I was and am, and that kind of thing. So things have not been good for the last couple of months at all. And so I wrote her a letter about the house, and it triggered her fear of being homeless, not having the house, and along with things that her ex-husband's doing. And I didn't mean it to do that, but she actually called me and, and was crying. So she's promised me that she'll call a battered shelter, get some counseling, and get into support group to help her with this, verbally abusive ex-husband that she has. So I'm waiting to see what she does with that, and working out a plan for her to take more responsibility for the home and to phase myself out so that it's her home. I think the biggest thing, we did a session 10, where I had 7 memories that just looked really fast and very dramatically, with a lot of visuals kind of thing. And so that was actually fun. So a fun experience. And so anyway, I'm working on my health. I'm working with a nutritionist, health coach, hired a personal trainer temporarily to get me started. I'm in aerobics at the gym. I did that this morning. And I've noticed, excuse me, growing up, I was always the tallest girl. I was actually the tallest kid in grade school. And, the boys didn't catch up to me until junior high, and then kind of surpassed me a little bit in high school. But I'm by far the tallest woman in the class, and the youngest, the tallest. And I look in the mirror, and the first time it was like, I had a bit of a trigger, but it was funnier than it was sad that I stood out so much, because I'd say majority of the women are here. Like when I was in grade school, the girls were here. So I look around, everybody's really nice. The ladies are friendly and helpful to me, because but I'm seeing it more as I just, instead of I stand out because I'm ugly, or I stand out because I'm big, or I stand out because I'm tall, or I stand out because I'm a freak or a giant, it's like I just stand out. I just stand out. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter.
Right.
You know, I've always felt like I look different than everybody else. And I do. I'm just like the only one with brown hair. I do look like this giant, but instead of being sad and triggering me, it's just funny.
Right.
That's it. It's just funny. I'm,
Mm-hmm.
the instructors, the two female instructors, because they're a generation behind me and people are taller now, we're about the same height.
Right.
So it actually makes me feel younger. Everybody's, I'd say 12 to 15 years older than me anyway, but I feel younger because I can identify, I look more like the instructor than I do these other women, these white-haired women, So anyway, so it's been fun, and I'm, I've been doing a lot of hard work, and you've been doing a lot of hard work. But I'm encouraged. It seems to, it's two steps forward and one back, but I feel like I'm moving faster.
Good. Good.
So that's about it. I don't know if you can think of anything that really kind of stood out to you, or changes, or.
No, I think you've said it all. And
Cool.
what you feel, I think that's the most important thing. So, regardless of what anyone else thinks or says.
Yeah, I know. I have somebody I've been working with for 10 months, and one day they said, we were going to do a session with me as a practitioner, and they said something kind of negative, or they were sad, or I don't remember what the emotion was. And I just looked at him and I went, do you realize how much you have changed in the last 6 weeks? And I just started writing it down, and it was an entire page. And I typed it up and emailed it to them. I said, this is what I've seen. This is the changes I've seen in you in the last 6 weeks. And they didn't see it,
Mm-hmm.
So, this is Faster EFT is incredible. I'm so glad I found it. And
It is indeed.
yeah. So
thank you very much. And I hope that you out there, whoever's watching it, will get benefit from viewing her Jan's journey. Jan's Faster EFT journey.
Yep.
Tap, 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 tap.
Yep. Okay, well, thank you. I appreciate everything.
My pleasure.
All right.